how you define a family.
One or more people.
Now,
Yeah, one or more people who love, trust.
now my wife said one more people. Now,
Erica has a hand up.
it used to be a time when we said one more people, we meant a husband and wife, right? But in the secular world, it could be 2 men or 2 wives. I'm just talking about the secular world, not in the church now, not in the church. But I'm just saying how the world defines couple, and the way that the world defines couple has an impact on us, whether we realize it or not. It'll have an impact on us. It'll have an impact on our second generation, our kids, because things that were taboo when we were coming up is now considered to be the norm. So the family dynamics is changing. Does someone else have their hand up here?
Family is a unity of one or more person, basically.
Okay, we'll add it to unity of one more person.
Doesn't it have to be at least 2 though, to be, and one person for you and one person for you.
Okay.
Husband and wife?
At least 2.
Yeah, at least 2.
In the same household.
A family doesn't necessarily have to be blood.
Right.
I just realized what y'all was talking about. Thank you.
There's gotta be 2.
That's to be 2 or more.
Gotta be 2 or more.
You plus someone.
In the same household, right?
Doesn't have
Well-
to be the same household to be a
Well, it
I
start
I do
getting wide then.
marriage counseling, family counseling, couples, individual. And I did have a couple where their parents been married for about 30 years and living in different homes. So they don't have to live in the same home. I guess that's one way to get along. Okay, anyone else?
It's
Types of family.
trust.
Uh,
Based on trust.
Okay, we're talking about defining family. That's one element of family. But we have, I'll say, blended families. You know, and then some people have extended families. And so there's different types of dynamics. There's different types of families. And so when people get saved and come to the church, a lot of times they bring a lot of things with them. Because we all were not saved all our lives, is that right? And some of us say we ain't been saved since we've been saved. We work on that, like working on marriage, we work on spiritual. And so when we deal with families and things like that within the church, we have so many challenges, especially when people come in and want to get saved. One of the things I talked about the last time was when I do premarital counseling. I will not perform a wedding ceremony for a couple without doing a premarital counseling. Sometimes people think that that's not important, but it's so important. I have never done a premarital counseling session and the couple have not thought about something or discussed something that they had not thought about. We always bring up something, and sometimes it's just something that's very obvious, something very simple. But a lot of times people are emotionally involved and they don't think about that. And one of the things that I found out is that's important is, anyone heard of a genogram? Genogram. Who's heard of genogram? Okay. A genogram is almost like a family tree, but it deals with the family dynamics. So, when we get married, we bring so many traits to the table, and some of the things that we bring to the table is like what Pastor Radio said about his son. Yeah, anyone remember what he said about his son? What's that you said about your son? They watching you. So your kids are watching you, just like many of us watched our parents, if we had parents in the household. So when we develop a genogram, we deal with symbols. This right here, it could be a separated couple. This line means divorce. We have extended, sometimes we have blended family. And so we look at the type of relationships, the type of dynamics, how your parents discipline you. See, some of you may have been disciplined rigid, and some of you are disciplined less rigid. Now, my wife, she said she only got one spanking in her entire life. Man, I said, man, I don't know what I did if I got one spanking. I got a spanking every day. But look at this right here. So the way that she deals with child rearing is different than me. My daughter, I guess my daughter got 5 spankings her entire life, and so to her that's a lot, because she only had one. I recently was counseling a couple. It's a sad but true. I counseled a couple that their parents fought every day. Parents fought every day, cussed each other out, had to often call the police to the home. But the couple that I was counseling, they only argued twice a week. And so one of the spouses thought that, man, I'm doing good. My parents argue every day, and I'm only arguing twice a week. So in their mind, that's a tremendous improvement. From 7 to twice a week. And so, but if you're married to somebody who has a close family that's not used to that drama, that becomes problematic. You know, you said, man, wow, we only took, man, I'm so proud of myself. We only argued I only gave him a beat down twice a week. But they were excited. And so what happens, we had to work through those dynamics. We had to work through that. And sometimes in the church, we don't understand why our spouse does the things that they do. You know, we heard the different things. People said, I love my spouse, and this and that, and that's all good. But within every marriage, there's some challenges. We are challenged to do our best, challenged to overcome past circumstances in our life. Sometimes people have been wounded as a child. Someone may have been abused. A young lady may have been raped. And she brings that into the marriage. And so now she's very defensive when she talks to her husband, and very closed off. And give you another example. If a woman has been married and has been cheated on, and he's taking advantage of her, now she marries you. Now, if you don't know how effectively deal with that, you are very guarded. You say, well, I'm afraid, and there's people who are afraid. It's not that they don't love you. It's that they don't know how to respond because they've been hurt, and they are afraid to open up their heart for fear that my heart is going to be crushed. And for some people, it takes a year, 2 years. Some people, it's going to take a lifetime. And you're saying, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? It's not anything wrong with you. It's that they have some personal challenges that they have to work through. So one of the things I share with people now, a lot of times African Americans do not like to see counselors, but I tell you, I'm sorry.
So do you think that couples lay that aside when they get married? Because, you know, they seem so happy when they married, and all of a sudden all these problems creep out. So is that like just during the honeymoon stage, and they're laying all those fears and past anxieties aside, and then once they get married, it just rears its ugly head? Or, I mean, because they you know, got together,
Right.
and, you know, formed that union and got married.
You know, that's a very good question. A lot of times, we on our best behavior when we get married, right? Right. Some of us guys even opened the door when we first got married. I ain't give no award to those who still open doors. I used to open doors all the time. Every once in a while, I still will open the door now, but I don't do it on a regular basis like I did when we first got married. Every time I'm opening the door. And so when we first get married, sometimes we just overlook stuff. Oh, that's all right, baby. That's all right. But after the honeymoon stage is over, then you start dealing with it. And sometimes people mask what they're dealing with. They're masking it. That I like this person, but I don't know if I can trust him. And here's what happens sometimes in a relationship. The first time you do something that reminds them of somebody else, it triggers something within them, and they begin to retreat. And so we have to learn how to deal with those issues. Because what happens, you project those feelings onto your spouse, and that's really unfair to that person. But if you don't communicate that, they're saying, what's wrong? I can't do anything to please this person. And a lot of that can be related to our background, our upbringing, what we were taught, how we were conditioned. A lot of times, and in the church, we shout, we praise Lord, we have a good time, but we have real issues. So that's why a class like this is so important, that we have to learn how to deal with those issues. One of the things I found out too is that what helps is that, and my wife and I, we've been married, you know how long we've been married here? I have to remind her sometimes how long we've been married.
36 years.
She got it, 36 years, we've been married 36 years. And a lot of times, within a period of time, you deal with some issues, and hopefully you learn to grow over a period of time. You know, sometimes time helps, but sometimes it doesn't. I heard someone say the first 5, 6, 7 years is the most important time in a relationship. Somebody called it the 7-year itch. 7-year itch. If you can press past that 5, 6, 7 years, then you can make it. So the couple that have been married a short period of time, press on past there. My wife and I first met her, I was 10 years old. 10 years old, and I met her in Sunday at church. At Christ Temple, I met her at church, and you know, at 10 years old, I was gonna try to make my move at 10 years old. 10 years old, true story. That's in the blood. It's with my cousin, so I don't need to say no more, amen. It's in the blood. 10 years. So I was gonna make my move, but I was a little shy, so I was gonna wait till the next Sunday to make my move, and she moved to Alabama. I said, what happened to that girl? What happened to her? I'm looking around the church. Where is she at? I didn't see her again till we graduated, and they had graduation at Christ Temple. And she was the MC, looking good she could be, I said, I'm gonna make my move quick this time. And so I saw her in the balcony, and I sat next to her. We started talking to each other, and she showed me her driver's license. And that's how we found we were both born the same month, same day, and same year. So we met each other at church, and since then we've been married 36 years. We dated one time before we got saved, and we were at a Whitney Houston concert. Whitney Houston concert. And I said I wouldn't date her again because I was kind of embarrassed. She says, all that smoke, I'm trying to be cool. She said, all that smoke, she couldn't stand the smoke. I said, I can't handle this right here. I was so embarrassed. But later on, after I got saved, I started coming to church, and she was ushering in the balcony, and she was so kind as to offer me a fan.
That's all it took.
In the winter time.
In the winter time.
That's it. But back to what I was saying, we pick up things from our parent. And one of the things, if you are used to a controlling parent, say for instance, if your wife's mother was controlling, she's going to more than likely pick up some of those traits. Mm-hmm. Amen? Brothers, y'all don't have to say amen. I'll let sisters say amen. You know, and the thing about it is some of this has been conditioned. And it's a process. And the challenge is to learn how to love that person and to learn how to talk through things. So one of the biggest challenges in any relationship now, if I misspell something, please excuse me, because whenever I can't get a little brain freeze from in front of the crowd when it comes to spelling. So, but one of the biggest challenges in a relationship is criticism. Criticism. Many times, people are very critical of the other person, and in order to be able to deal with that criticism, we have to realize that the person that you're married to is not your enemy.
All right.
So we talk.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So when you say criticism, are you speaking of constructive criticism or the broad criticism?
Okay, we're gonna start with the negative criticism.
Okay.
Honey, I done told you. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes we have problems. Every time you always do this. You never do this right here. Anybody heard somebody say it? You didn't say it, but heard. You always do this.
Yeah.